It's a bird. It's a plane. It's superhero therapy. Written by Paul Daniel Torres. Today we're going to be talking about the benefits of superhero therapy, specifically through the story of Dr. Janina Scarlet, a licensed clinical psychologist who survived Chernobyl radiation and immigrated to the US when she was 12. As a child, she grew up in the Ukraine. When she was 3 years old, she and her family were exposed to high degrees of radiation from the Chernobyl disaster. Her health had been changed forever by this. Her body is now incredibly sensitive to changes in weather, like rain, and changes in radiation, like meteor showers. These leave her extremely ill, in some instances so ill it's life-threatening. When she got to America, she was bullied by other kids for being radioactive. This is when her love affair with superheroes began. As she watched the first X-Men film, she saw how Storm's power was connected to the weather just like how she was. Storm quickly became her favorite superhero. She saw just as the X-Men, she was a survivor, and like them, she can take control of her destiny instead of being controlled by her past. The reason the superhero genre is so important is that it is based on the fact that we all dream of having powers at one point or another. Whether it's super speed to get to school on time or super strength to stand up to the school bully. Because of these desires, we connect to those characters with powers. Since humans are social creatures, they want to be understood and supported, but it's hard to open up to other people, especially when it comes to mental health. Through finding something to connect with, for example, a superhero, we're given that understanding and support, which will hopefully serve as a vehicle for healing. Dr. Scarlet hopes that by connecting to superheroes, it gets rid of the stigma around mental illness. People will stop seeing themselves as mutants and instead see themselves as the heroes they really are. This is the basis of superhero therapy. Dr. Scarlet says it involves using pop culture in evidence-based therapy in order to help people deal with or recover from different mental illnesses. By connecting to their hero, they connect with their core senses and values. Many people feel held back by their circumstances such as poverty, physical disability, or mental struggles. Sometimes they also have a hard time connecting to things they care about. For example, creative work, family, and friends. This therapy is designed to help people not only better manage their struggles, but to become their own version of a superhero using the skills and abilities they might already have or are able to learn along the way. The therapy is also transdiagnostic, which means it can be applied to any mental disorder. As well, people don't have to be veteran comic book readers. It can vary from characters like Harry Potter to Rambo. Personally, my favorite superhero is Spider-Man, particularly Peter Parker. Peter is the fruit of his environment, given a strong moral backbone as a child but constantly bullied, feeling like he wasn't good enough because of the loss of his parents. This is only strengthened by him causing his Uncle Ben's death. Spider-Man is plagued by constant anxiety and self-doubt. He's always asking himself if he's good enough or if he can achieve it. He always wonders if he is worthy or good enough to be a hero. Sometimes we don't know if Peter is driven by his inherently good heart, following the example of his Uncle Ben or his own guilt. But despite all his self-doubt, despite all his anxiety, he always reminds himself of the countless times he overcame them. So when push comes to shove, he knows he has to get things done because failure isn't an option. People's lives depend on him. Spidey shows us that it's okay to have self-doubt and anxiety, and that it's possible to not just survive, but to do amazing and spectacular things. In superhero therapy, I might learn that even though I have some of the same issues, I also have some of the same values: bravery, perseverance, and the capacity to do spectacular things.
Okay, wow. Well, I'd like to open it up. I can ask you more questions, but I don't want to deprive our wonderful audience of clinicians, mostly, if they would like to ask you anything. Emily, do you have any questions yet?
Oh, of course we do. We've got lots already. Marjolaine, you had a question. Do you want to unmute? Oh, sorry. Let's just get you unmuted. There you go.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first, it's kind of emotional for me right now I'm not sure how long my question is, but you know, me, I started last year to have a obsession about a movie, which is like Joker,
Mhm.
2019,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's basically just like the story of my life. Like it's the same abuse with the mother. It's everything. How the system's treating me. I was like, I became severely obsessed with it, and I started to do like the cosplay about Arthur and Joker, the character. Um, Now it became like a therapy for me. Like I do the scenes of the movie, and like I can express the emotions I was never able to express before. And I'm just wondering at what extent it can be negative, you know, because like I almost do it every day. And I was wondering, I started a website about this. You know, I still have a lot of anxiety. You can see it now. I have like severe trauma, agoraphobia, social phobia. I have no access to therapy. Um, I started a website to help other people. Like it helped me, but I don't know like what keywords to use. It is like superhero therapy. It is like hero's journey, psychodrama. I was just wondering. And also,
Thank
I just
you.
wanted to add, like, for the first time, I felt understood by someone, and it was like Arthur and Joker in the movie. And I met the actor, and I talked to him about it. It was a big deal.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for asking that question. And honestly, thank you for this incredible movement that you started because I imagine that you're definitely not alone in this. The movie did well, and it did well because it resonates with so many people who survived abuse, who survived trauma, who didn't get access to services, who were neglected by the system. And I'm so glad that you found something that spoke to you in this way. And actually, um, I don't think there's anybody that can tell you what's healthy and what's not healthy. It's what works for you. And it sounds like for you, in having this daily, almost like a mindfulness practice in connecting with this film, it's allowing you perhaps, I don't want to tell you how you feel, of what I heard anyways, that it's allowing you to feel less lonely and more accepted and more mindful, more present, more grounded. And now you're doing this to help other people. I think that's incredible.
Hmm. I think it's because a lot of times people focused on, I've been called a psychopath. They said like, yeah, but he's murdering people. And I'm like, yeah, but me, I focus on, you know, there's one scene in a movie when he walks like out of the subway, slow motion. And for me, the scene is the key
Yeah.
scene, the vibe I want to have.
Yeah.
And it started to work.
You know,
And like,
go ahead, please.
I met the actor and Joaquin Phoenix, and he just like exploded in tears, and he said like, I never heard that before for a role.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And I'm so glad you brought this up. This is something that I'll definitely be talking about in the training. This question comes up a lot. People, therapists, for example, will sometimes ask, okay, but my client likes the Joker, for example. Should I be worried about whether my client is going to do something violent? And the answer is absolutely not, right? We like who we like. There's a reason why we like certain characters. In the decade I've been practicing this, maybe I've been lucky, but whenever I ask my clients, what makes you like this particular character, I've never had somebody say, I like that they kill people and I want to do that too. What I've had people say is, I can relate to this character's origin story, right? Which sounds like that might be the case for you. I've had people say, I like that this character doesn't have to answer to anyone. They can do whatever they want, right? They have their own schedule, their own rules. Whereas for a lot of us, we have a very rigid lifestyle, right? Get up, go to work or go to school, right? Come home, do homework or help the kids with homework, rinse and repeat. But villains don't have to do any of that. They do whatever they want. They're fun, right? And also, villains are sexy. They're just cool, right? There's just something fun in this like vicarious invitation to be naughty. And I got to tell you, I've been using villains to help people find their voice of assertiveness. Like Kylo Ren is one that I use a lot in therapy in terms of helping people find that voice of standing up for what they believe in, especially for women, because a lot of women have been taught that we're not allowed to be angry, which is not true, of course. Anger is an important emotion. And so we work on experiencing anger, right? Connecting to the dark side, practicing assertiveness, but without killing people. So the idea is to actually find that connection, which you have found, right, with Joker, to find that part of ourselves that maybe has been neglected and misunderstood. And I'm so glad that you found it. I'm so glad that you shared it, because I imagine there's probably at least one other person that feels the same way, even if they're not able to say it just yet. And I imagine that everything you do, say, and share is probably helping more people than you realize. And you probably saved a life and you probably don't even know it. So thank you for what you do.
Oh,